Mr. Mario, to our podcast. Today, let's start from the beginning. Can you share some memory of your childhood and what is like growing up during the apartheid area in South Africa?
Okay. Take my mind back to the days back then. Lots of people say the good old days. I say today is the good day. Anyway, I was born in a very poor family, and so life was difficult. I had a very tough childhood. My mom suffered from her nerves and things like that. So she was sent to a sanatorium a couple of times. And yeah, which just added to the difficulties. I was, from my perspective, I experienced verbal abuse, I experienced physical abuse, and my dad, for the most part, he was a very gentle person. And a lot of the time he wasn't there because my mom and dad broke up often, separated, and then got back together and tried again. And this went on for many years. At the age of about 12, 13 years old, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and they gave me some medication that was supposed to help me. One of the things that used to happen when I'm going to bed to go to sleep, then I would feel like I'm dying. I would feel like my spirit is leaving my body. And then I would jerk awake, take a deep breath, pace up and down in the room. And all that was just stress related stuff. So, which kind of paints the picture that in my mind, my household was kind of like a war zone. And I think the worst thing it did to me was my self-image. My self-image was very poor and very low. And from time to time, I still have pangs of that in my heart, but nothing like it used to be. Growing up in apartheid, this is like the weirdest thing that was in my mind. We grew up poor, so we didn't have much more than most of the black people in South Africa. And I still managed to feel superior. I had a spirit of superiority, which, thank goodness, that was dealt with. And I was brought to a little later stage in life, brought to an open mind, understanding better things. So I was never really racist. And I had compassion for the black people. I didn't understand the separation. They weren't allowed to ride the same buses we rode. They weren't allowed to be in the same cinema we sat in. They had to have separate trains. They couldn't own their own businesses, not very easily anyway. And they had to live in their own areas, and their areas were poor, you know. So that's kind of in a nutshell where my background and my roots lie. And yeah, that's where my life kind of began.
That's that's good. It's like
Is that
so
sufficient for
hardcore.
you? Would you
It's
like
hard. Yes. It's that was what how did the validity of your family life and the struggle that you face as a child shape you as a person?
um man, I grew up feeling pretty much broken person, you know. And I remember one of the deepest desires of my heart, it was I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal. And what is normal anyway, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to be like the people in the street that I meet, you know. I would like to be just normal. Why am I like this confused person and, cannot believe in myself and struggle to everything I have to do is like a major uphill. If I have a task, if I go get a job, if I to stay in a job, and I just want to be normal. I just want to, and I think a lot of my life was spent just wanting to be loved, you know. just have that kind of love.
That's what I feel. Mm, you have been mentioning that you are having a transformative experience. Uh, can you describe what is happening during your meeting with the creator?
That was a very interesting situation. Um, I had I had just had an experience that turned me in that gave me the opportunity to become Christian. Okay, and
Previously, you
so
are not a Christian.
no, I wasn't born a Christian. I came from the Church of the Swinging Doors. I spent a lot of my youth with alcohol and crazy things like that.
I see. Okay.
I kind of always had a knowing that there
Mm,
is some kind of creative being, but I had no way of how to connect with them or
mm,
what's the reality. I just kind of had the picture that if we want to call him God, he was over there somewhere in outer space looking at us and saying, "Oh no, these guys are just messing up, you know. Yeah, let me give them another bad weather or something, you know."
mm,
So then going through this thing, I met a guy and I felt like he invited me to church a million times. And then one day I went, and when I got there, I think there I had like a mini spirit experience. And because
mm.
I saw something that I had been desiring for a long time, and I thought, this is what I'm looking for.
That's
And that,
fascinating.
yes, and so having that mindset and that heart feel kind of tied me in with the church, and I thought, okay, this is the place to be. You know, this is where you're going to live out all this stuff. And then in the early days, I think I was a Christian for about a year or so, maybe yeah, almost 2 years. And we used to have prayer meetings, a lot of prayer meetings. This church was really active with that, and I enjoyed that. And so I was in there, and this particular day, we were about five young adults,
Okay.
early 20s to late 20s at a push. And we were praying together. And the next thing I realized, something is coming here. And I looked up and I saw this cloud. And this cloud was immense and powerful. If you can imagine the thickest, darkest thundercloud you've ever seen in your whole life. And
Okay.
it wasn't dark, it was the color of fire, like
Like
a living,
violet, a color
yes,
of violet.
fire. Yeah.
Fire.
And so there's oranges and yellows, and it's not stagnant. It's not just like a 2D picture, it's living. And this is another funny thing that I didn't understand, and I don't quite know how to explain, is the cloud was like, it was not limited by the construction of the room. I could see it as if inside the room, but almost as if the walls weren't there. So it was everywhere, but it was inside the room, you know. And then I experienced this presence of just power. That's the first word that came to mind. The most immense power that a man could imagine or a woman could imagine. And instantly, I had a knowing, this is the creator. And in my mind, then, it was just, this is God. And instantly, I also knew how miracles could happen, how people could just get out of wheelchairs and people could be healed from cancers, and hurts in your soul could just be healed like that in an instant. These things are possible. And then the continually, as if it was possible, I didn't think it would be possible, but the power just increased.
What
And
type of
then
power is what type of power is not able
there's
to
no, and that's a very good question, because there's no description to what kind of power this is. It's something I have never experienced. I had never imagined. Um, but it's just like a feeling of everything is kind of vibrating, but everything is exactly as it should be. But I really don't have the words to it, just immense, intense power. And as this
wonderful.
was increasing and increasing, this presence of the Creator, I felt like my whole being was gonna, every little molecule of me was gonna separate from this body, this being, and just jettison, kind of explode out and travel to all eternity, and just be one with everything, and just never stop. And then I had the thought, wow, this is too much. Boom, instantly switched off, gone. The funny thing about this, all of us in the room had some kind of experience. And the only thing we ever said to each other from that day is like, what was that? And one person said, it was God. And we never discussed it. We never spoke about it. It just went away. And in one way of saying, from that day, I've never been the same. But the change took time to come into understanding, if we could put it that way. And so I left the room and I was changed, but I was still exactly like I used to be. Still had all my pains, still had all my mindsets, still had all my whatever I was. And so I couldn't go out the room and walk on water. I couldn't go out the room and perform this miracle that I just experienced. I was just normally me. And it took some time, to begin to integrate with what had happened. And then looking back, I really get the understanding that in that time with the Creator, a lot of stuff was, for sake of description, downloaded into my heart. And then, because I found that as I journeyed in life, then I'd come across something and I would, oh my goodness, I understand that. That makes absolute sense. This sounds like the truth. And I started seeing things that I recognized even the people in the church with me didn't understand, didn't see, didn't experience. But that in the beginning, and for at least 30 years, was very, very minimal. The church I was involved in at the time, which at this stage of the race, I just can't find myself sitting at church anymore, because I see people talking about the elements of this Creator. I see people talking about the magnificence of this being, but the lifestyle is not connected with that. It's not, it's just a religion. It's the emptiness of a religion. So the Theophostics, I was walking around with a long time understanding that I have brokenness in my soul, in my heart, and not knowing exactly what to do about it. And I'd go speak to a pastor, and the general consensus is kind of, read your Bible and pray, bro. But that wasn't helping me. So I met this other believer lady, a Christian lady, and she was involved with Theophostics, which kind of is, it comes out of a Christian background from America. And subsequently, they've also changed name. I'm not sure. I haven't stayed in touch with her. But I sat with her on her couch. And what this really comprised of is we would sit together and she would just be a facilitator and like a guide. And then we would just ask, what is there that you want to show Mario today? And then I will sit and listen. And in the beginning of stages of this, I was really closed up and I didn't hear much, but I could see, I got little pictures. And then she would note them down and try and draw the little pictures. And then we would put the pictures together and then we would see the message. And in that time, so now here's the Creator. He's beginning to deal with the pain in my soul, and he's highlighting the things in my belief system that is not tied to the truth, but that's like kind of like a lie, the wrong belief system that's not going to get me any life, but keep me trapped. So, and then he would put his words in place of that. He would take that out and put his words inside of that. And that's where I started beginning to break out of this rejection that I was suffering. Yeah, I really suffered from rejection. If somebody came to me and said, hi, Mario, you're such a nice guy. Or if somebody said, some family member said, hey, I love you, then my first thought in my head would be, what do you want? You're being nice to me. Why? What do you want? You know, I couldn't accept that somebody could just like me for who I am, you know. And so this started the healing process. And I spent a lot of time on the couch with her. I used to go, I think it was once, twice a week. And for over a year, I spent time with her on her couch. And in this time, really practiced it because it helped me give my feet to listen. Listen.
This is how the journey. This is how the journey that helped you toward the inner healing, is it?
Yes, yes. Now, keep in mind, this happened a couple of years, maybe 3, 4 years after my meeting with the Creator. So,
this is after the meeting with the Creator.
yes. So, when I left that room, I was still the same person that I was. All the brokenness, all the stuff was still there. I hadn't experienced those kind of miracles at that stage. But and that's what paints the picture to me that life is a journey. Life is a journey, and the more we're looking, the more we'll find. And the more we're asking, the more we will see. And my quest is for the truth, because there are many gurus out there that say a lot of things, and even religions that say a lot of things. And I have found snippets of truth in so many things and so many places. And this is where my journey really began, of how to live, how to be who we are, you know.
It's from the Theophotics.
The Theophostics was like a big opener, and this is something that happened for me. When I imagine you've got this big wound on your arm, and somebody comes and heals that wound so profoundly, wonderfully, and restores your body back to maybe even better than what it was before, then you begin to develop this trust with that person. And this is what happened with me in healing with the Creator. He took the time to walk me through all my stuff, and he showed me that he was there. He was there. He was there. He was there. And he's here. And he took the pain that I had, and he took the poor self-image that I had. And I grew and I grew and I grew, and all the time trusting him, trusting him. And then you can't help but come to a place that you just understand he is who he says he is. And I say he very loosely, okay? Understand, I come from a Christian background, and having a kind of father figure need in my life. Not that my father wasn't there, but he wasn't a bad father. But I still had that emptiness in my heart of having a good father. And so that's why I quite easily mention God as he, because I'm completely aware that this creator being is as much feminine as masculine, because out of him we come, and we are just here, different expressions at different timelines of this creator. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you answered my question.
I get kind of, because there's so many angles that you can approach different things from. And sometimes I start talking here, and then my mind goes there, and then I get lost. And so I'm just checking that I did answer your question.
What are some of the key lessons or breakthrough you experienced during this period of inner healing? You might
say that again.
What are some of the key lessons or breakthrough you experienced during this period of your inner healing?
I would say one of the key things, one is that there is a source, there is somewhere we come from. Second thing is becoming aware that more than being a human being, I am a spirit being. Okay, that to me is essential. Once you begin to understand that you're a spirit being in like seemingly human clothing, okay,
Yes.
traveling through this journey, and you're here to learn lessons that will have eternal impact on the spirit life. Okay, so because we come here to learn lessons that's very difficult for us to learn there. Where we come from, the spirit world, there are no difficulties. There's no hunger. There's no poorness. There's no uh, hatred. There's no death. There's no racism. There's no, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
we don't have the contrast that gives us the ability to gain insight and learn and to see who we actually are in our essence. Who am I? Because you're one with this creator that, in a sense, he's your identity. And so I'm of the understanding that he gives us this opportunity to come and see who we really are and to give us this opportunity to find him anew, in a sense.
Anew. What do you mean by the anew?
Um, because, yeah, in this world, we feel separated. We feel separated from each other. We
Yes.
feel separated from this creator being. And so anew means while we are in him, we don't have this contrast experience to shake us up, stir us up, and to see who we are. So anew, we discover who the creator actually is and our relationship together, kind of thing.
That's a great explanation. Thank you so much.
So just to come back to the point, you see, I just get your question was, what are the important.
Experience. Uh,
So for me, key things is, like I said, discovering the reality of the creator. Two, understanding that I am spirit. Number three, understanding that this life is just a journey. It's just a school, because that helps me when the difficult times come, and they do, then I remind myself, don't get lost in the trauma of the situation. Keep the focus, maintain the contact, and ask the question, what must I learn out of this? What am I to see? How am I to react to this situation? How do I respond? What do I do? And in that, the learning process develops. So I think, just to wrap it up very loosely, that those are really important basics to understand in moving forward with your life.
what about the inner healing?
Um, the inner healing, man, that is like one aspect that I think that is immensely important, because
Mhm.
I'm sure from your experience you can agree with me. This
Yes, I
life
can
is
agree. Yes.
this life is tough. This life is difficult, you know,
Mhm.
and it's so easy to get lost in it. And this just brings me back to my first point. When you begin to experience the healing, you first discover that you're not alone, and you discover this relationship. But you also you can leave the trauma. The trauma is not attached to you anymore. It's nullified,
Yes.
and you can grow from the lesson. And you can, like a flower, you can. It's like it, when a seed is planted, it's under the ground, and it has to generate this immense energy to break through the soil. But once it's broken through the soil, whew, then it can grow into an amazing large tree bearing fruit, you know? And so that's the analogy I like to use there. That's why, for me, the process of healing is quite important, because the discovering of self and the realization of truth, and that kind of aligns you with a compass going forward, because it's so easy to get I want to say lost in something. For example, if you have the gift of healing, for example, and now I'm the healer and you can get your whole identity wrapped in that. And yes, wonderful. You are doing a great help for people, but your personal growth and your personal extension is limited because you're just putting your focus on your identity as the healer. But whereas if your identity is in the giver of the healing gift, then you can process further and you can grow from just being the healer to the teaching and the passing on of the healing. And you can also reach other people, and you can show the fact that if this healing has happened to you, it's not the be all and the end all. It's not just one little, it's just one little thing. It's not everything. There is still life after that. There are still things to do after that. There are still miracles to experience after that.
Agree with you. I agree with you. Other than this, did you have any other inner healing other than this
Um,
point that you're talking about?
nothing in specific, but I would like to, because life is a journey.
Yes, yes.
And I don't know if we're capable of experiencing everything at once. And I love the fact of discovery, and for me, a very challenging place is a marriage relationship.
Oh, okay.
Because there it is far more difficult to hide from each other. You're in each other's face all the time. And
Yes.
because we have this difference dynamic, you
Mm,
think differently than I do. There are many challenges. And believe me, these challenges trigger things inside of you that can come from the past, that could be a recent thing. And then you're left with the question of, okay, what do I do now? And so it's just an ongoing process. And that's the one place. The workplace, also relationships, challenging you. How do I deal with this? How do I live out the fact of this new thing that I'm seeing and this new life that I'm living? How do I incorporate it? How do I treat my coworkers? How do I treat my wife? How do I treat my son? And so that they can see, feel, and understand that it's not just my words that say, I love you, but it's that my actions and that kind of thing. I hope I'm drawing a clear picture there.
mm. Thank you so much. And I before I move to the next topic, I heard that you have been experiencing a near-death experience.
What
And
experience?
near-death experience.
Oh, no, I haven't had a near-death experience, but um, the first thing, this was part of my kind of wake-up call. My experience with the creator happened roughly about, just loosely, about 30 years before this wake up experience. So all along I was journeying and I saw things differently and I learned things differently, but I wasn't quite aware of what I'm supposed to do. I remember thinking so many times, why did this creator touch me like this? For what reason?
Mhm,
There must be something to it. And then living here in Langkawi, I have a friend, he's from Myanmar. He's a construction worker. And long story short, they ended up living in our house.
yes,
And we had to go away for Chinese New Year. As you know, in Malaysia, here we do.
mhm,
Go with my family-in-law, and we were in KL. And I got a call. One of my other friends said, "Oh, we're taking this friend of yours to hospital. He's got something small wrong with his tummy, but don't worry." And my heart was just not at peace. So I was just praying for him during this time. And when I came back from KL, I went to visit him in hospital. And the first thing I discovered is the, the not peace in my heart was accurate. It was a correct feeling because he had a stomach ulcer that burst. And because they left it, and then it burst, and then the help came a little bit late. And he was telling me that he died 3 times in that day.
Sometimes.
And he was telling me about his personal experience. And here I'm sitting on the edge of the hospital bed, and I'm like, I'm understanding what he's talking about. It doesn't sound like alien stuff and weird stuff. And I'm understanding, I'm feeling, and I'm like, he says, I met the Creator, I met Jesus, I felt this, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can really feel what he was feeling when he was there. I kind of felt like a news reporter that's capturing all this, you know. And then I asked myself the question after that, of course, when I asked myself the question, how come, how come I understand this? How come I feel so connected to this? And then I started looking up about near-death experiences, and I found a lot of stuff on YouTube. So, uh, uh, in a sense, if you can say, kind of NDE experiences become our new church.
So
Because
like yes, like you saying the new death experience give you some influence.
yes, it kind of like, for the first time I saw that I can understand the spirit world thing. And I felt like, oh, wow, 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 there's much more. Like I always thought, there's more. Okay, now I'm pursuing this. Now I'm looking for it. And then I started listening, and I heard things that really blew me away.
So
You
that
know,
this one influence your perspective in the life
yes, yes. And
in
I'll
your
give you an
journey.
example of
Yes.
one of the major, like, felt like a landmine. I was
Landmark.
listening. I, I was listening to this awesome lady telling her near-death experience, and she was in she American soldier, and her vehicle that she was in hit a landmine, and it exploded, and she got damaged and what have you. And then she had this experience of dying and going to the other side, and there she was told and reminded that before she came, she planned her whole life. She chose her parents, she chose which country she was going to live in, what experiences she had. And when she said that, I was like, no, I didn't choose this for me. No, I would never do that to myself.
And
So my head was not ready for that. But moving on, I kind of left it there, and moving on, listened, and then through this, I began to have the understanding, and this is what helped me to see that this life is just a school, and we give ourselves these challenges. I kind of get the idea that when we sit there and we put these challenges together, we got no idea how impactful it's going to be. So we just load it on.
yes,
you know, and
agree.
then we come here and we sit with all this. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with these eggs? And so it was such a learning curve, and then the more I go with it, the more I'm really left with like a sense of there's an urgency in the destiny, and that my destiny is actually to help people, to guide and to share and to be like a signpost that there's more to life, a road sign that says there's more to life. The spirit is real, and we can access. We can access it. We can connect with it. We can begin to live together with it symbiotically.
Your friend described what the near the experience, how is the experience, how is the process? Did they tell
Well,
you in detail or just a brief?
yes, yes, he told me in detail, and this was also some years ago. Um, But what basically happened is the first time he died is when they carried him out from the house to put him in the car, take him to hospital. And then he said he was above the body, and he saw them putting him in the car. He saw his wife, and things like that. And then the I don't remember that he told me about the separations in between when he was kind of back or whatever. But the end of the story was where he was standing in front of what he called Jesus. And he said the love that he experienced was just unmeasurable. And he said, Jesus asked him, do you want to come inside? Because behind Jesus was like the gates of heaven or something. And then he said, yes, yes, I want to come inside because this place is so beautiful. I want to live here. And then Jesus asked him a question. Isn't there somebody that you need to take care of in the world? And at that time, his wife was like 6 or 7 months pregnant, and they migrant workers from Myanmar. So she doesn't have much of a help group here. She's got no immediate family. And then he said, oh, I must help her. Yes. Okay. Okay. I'll go back. And then he came back and was back in his body.
Oh, that's very great experience.
Yes. And there was like, I'm sitting on his bed and I'm listening to this and I'm feeling when he says, I feel the love. And then, wow, I'm like sensing all this stuff. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? But then I also started connecting the dots, you know. Then I realized, that time God touched me. And then I've asked God so many times why. And then now I'm seeing, okay, this is why. This is how come I can understand this. Because in some way, I've experienced that completely different, but I've experienced the source of it all. And I can see the connectedness in it all, you know.
What do you mean by the source?
Source,
What
the
what do you
creator,
mean?
the being.
The creator. Okay.
Yes, for me, source is the creator, is the being that did all this for us and for him. And, yeah, he's the creator, created every little molecule, every little just blows.
Yes.
And how, just looking at us as human beings,
Yes.
the mere fact that our very eyes are all uniquely different. There isn't two people
Yes.
that have
Yes.
the fingerprints, DNA. How
Yes.
is that possible? We design games that we play, right? There's no comparison. There's nothing as close in any game as to what we experience here. It's just unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable, and it's a difficult school, as you say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Uh, I would like to know what is the insight or truth that you discover about life and spiritual scene, that wake up call that you mean from the near death experience.
At that stage, I was still very much involved with the church. And um, kind of having this knowing that I expect there to be more than what we are living and seeing. And so this wake up call kind of excited me and stimulated me to start searching more. And the more I'm searching, the more I'm experiencing, and the more I'm speaking to different people from different parts of the world, the more I'm seeing this the truth of what is out there. And we all have different aspects and different viewpoints of this happening. And some people are really switched on and awake and beginning to see this thing, and we're beginning to walk in it. And some people have been around for a lot longer than what I have. And so it's not just a yesterday thing. It's been building and building. But the more I look at it, we have the blessing of the internet right now, where we can search and we can listen to people's stories. 30 years ago, that was not possible. If you had an NDE, you are lucky not to end up in a loony bin where my mom was, you know, kind of thing. And so that was my awakening and my search and my kind of like the opening the door to my journey. And I'm still in that pursuit because I'm looking to lay a platform to meet more people, maybe that have had near-death experiences, that I can help them over the hurdles of the people around them that don't believe them. Just the other day, We went to Star for something, and we're in the Grab car, and this wonderful Malay man is telling us that his mom had this near-death experience. He doesn't understand it. Yeah, he doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand it. And we were able to just share a little bit with him to kind of help him over that hurdle of, yes, it is real, and help him to understand that there is more to come, and there's more to see, and there's more to learn, you know. And I would love to connect with people like that and say, let's walk together, and I will share with you what I know, and hopefully that will help you. You tell me what you've experienced, and that will help me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now I would like to know, what do you believe are the most important truth about life and spiritual that you discover through your journey?
Yeah, okay. For me, I think this life is important. Living this life is important because it's designed to shape us and grow us for eternal reason. So pay attention, you know, and enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey and try not to be afraid. When you get on a roller coaster, it's fun, but it's scary. And it's fun because it's scary.
Yes, totally agree
So,
with you.
so let's understand that sometimes it's going to be really scary, and allow ourselves to feel, you know, allow ourselves to experience this. Okay, now I'm afraid. That's okay. To enjoy life in essence, and try not to let fear limit you from living.
Yes. How did you describe the fear?
How do I describe the fear?
Yeah, yeah,
It's what gives you the heebie-jeebies. It's what steals your joy. It's what limits you from growth, from living, from being who you really are. Fear comes in different tangents, and it affects you in different ways. And sometimes fear is mostly in the mind, you know, what could be, what might be, what, you know, what are they gonna say? What are they gonna think? And to begin to say, it doesn't matter what they think. They're on their journey. That's okay. I deal with me. That old saying, you do you and I do me, kind of thing, you know, in a nutshell.
mm, that's amazing. That's the fear that you're talking about.
Because fear can be really intense, you know,
Mm,
and it can have different levels of depth. And fear could be so debilitating that it can literally stop you from doing what you set out to do from the beginning.
yeah, I agree. I totally agree. This really happens to most of people.
Yes,
Yes,
yes. And this is my hope as well. You know, I am so thankful that you're doing this podcast. And my
it's our
hope is
pleasure.
that I really get the feeling like, specifically in Malaysia, there are a lot of people that are having experiences. And like me in the beginning, I could not relate. I had no idea what to do with it, and didn't even have computers at that time, or internet for me was like, no. And so to lay a platform for like the safe place where people can talk and open up and share their experience, and we can help each other just by sharing love and giving guidance.
So wonderful. Yeah, and for now, I would like to know, how do you stay connected to your spiritual belief and practice in your everyday life?
That's an amazing question. And I'm going to kind of answer it like this. It's kind of impossible not to be connected, because the creator is always there. You know, I go through tough times and I get depressed, and Emotionally, I'm lying on the floor. I don't want to get up anymore.
Yes.
And he lets me be there for a little time. And then he comes and he sows some seeds of love and some seeds of encouragement and shares some words. And then somebody else comes and says, oh, yeah, I felt like you need a cup of coffee, cheer me up a bit. And then when I look again, I'm back on my feet and I've got a cup of coffee and I'm like, okay, let's carry on. You know, so I suppose it is possible to disconnect, but why? Why would you want to do that? It's like, so I think in essence, to answer your question, I'm saying it's like, how do I stay connected? Because of the Creator, because of this amazing being that's love for us is so intense.
Yes.
Always there. He's always there, no matter where I turn.
That he doesn't need to connect. It's always here with us. That's what you
My
mean, right?
Wi-Fi is on.
Yes. That's totally, I believe that. It seems to me too. We are always stay connected. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I love about it is like, you know, if you look at nature, you look at all the trees and the flowers and the plants, and then you recognize the ants and the butterflies and the bees, and there's no one tree that says only these trees can grow in this street, nothing else. No, it's unnatural. And the ants help the trees, and the butterflies and the bees help the flowers and the plants, and everything is symbiotic. And I think that's the place we need to grow to understand our differences. Some people are trees, some people are birds, you know, just metaphorically speaking. But we all have a place and we all have value, and we can add value to one another in our differences.
Yes. I believe that. Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. That's correct. I believe that. I believe that. Um, and I would like to know what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with similar challenge that you face, such as trauma, loss, and seek a deeper spiritual connection?
That's uh, that's a lovely question. Um, I would say just trust and keep seeking. You know, and I like to listen to a lot of NDEs. And the one day I was listening to this one person, and they were saying that we have creative ability within us. We are just like the creator. And the amazing thing about that is sometimes we create the negative in our own lives because our mindset is negative. And so I kind of started practicing that, and I started saying, okay, I'm going to focus on creating positivity. This job that I'm doing is really difficult right now, but I'm going to speak creative miracle into it. And just the next day, something started to change. And in consecutive 3 days, three positive things happened. And I'm thinking like, oh wow, you know.
Wonderful.
So I'm trying to answer your question in a practical way.
Yes.
In the fact that hold the faith, believe, and push on and walk. Even if you're just moving 1/4 of a millimeter, movement is life, movement is growth. Staying strapped in the fear is nothing. It's just nothing. Hold the faith and trust and believe, and there is more, and you will see it. Even if you need to remind yourself, I will see there is more. I will see. You continue, press on.
How do we keep to have a like positive mind? Can you share to the chat to our audience?
I think what helps me maintain a positive mind is um, staying connected with like NDEs and listening because I always pick up new things. Um, having good friends that speak the same language. That doesn't happen for me very often. A lot of times I feel so alone. But there are times where that comes, and that's life-giving, and that's encouraging. And just to come back to your previous question, this is the things you can begin to experience when you start pressing in and holding on and having the faith. Meetings happen between you and other people. And when you begin to focus that awareness and say, okay, then, I mean, I've spoken to people. I got out of my car. I was going to electric shop because I do a little bit of electric work here and there. I was going to buy some parts for a job I was doing. And here I saw the mom and dad and their three young children standing on the corner of the street on the pavement and on the sidewalk. And I just felt compelled to talk with them. And I stood there and I had a conversation with them, easily 30, 40 minutes. And we were talking about this kind of stuff. And it's like a chance meeting, you know, and that blessed me. That was like, whoo, and giving life. And I'm sure it was the same for them, you know, because I could see on their faces as we were talking the life that was coming and being there, you know. So it was like these chance little happenings. I think I've forgotten your question, but I think I've answered it anyway.
Yeah,
Ah.
because we just like,
Oh yes, you asked how do you stay positive? Yeah, so the and do things that you love. Do things that you give you an example. I like to watch America's Got Talent and England, Britain's Got Talent, things like this. For the simplicity of I see people standing on the stage doing and discovering the gift that they were created to do. And for me, there's nothing more beautiful. This magician doing his thing, but he does it so well, and I can see it. His energy is coming out and actually touching and lifting the spirits of people. Singers, when they you can see that these people were created to do this thing. It's not just like me that's standing on the corner of the street trying to sing a song with my son saying, Dad, you're false. Shut up. You know, and you can see their gifting and they're on the mark with their notes and you can feel they're telling a story. So I relish in that. And that encourages me that I'm on my journey and I'm discovering myself all the time, and I'm going to have this wow moment. I'm going to have a time of profound sharing and profound giving and connecting with people. I'm going to have those times. So that kind of keeps me going. Just little things like that. Eating good food once in a while. Spoil yourself. Practice loving yourself. That's, I think, so important because I come from the world where I am my own worst enemy. You know, oh, you're not good enough. You're terrible. Oh, you can't do this. No wonder you don't get anywhere, you know. So love yourself. And that's one thing I really appreciate about my wife is she will say, I want to bless myself. Come, let's go eat this food and whatever. And then we go and we have a good time, you know. So those little things that have profound impact on your life.
thank you so much for such a wonderful advice. It's really touched me, yes, because
You're
I
welcome.
believe that we all need them. Yes,
Yes, yes,
we all really need them.
yeah.
Before we wrap up our show, can you tell our listener about any of your website or any event that you are doing or
Hmm.
any way to contact you?
Yes. I'm going to give you my email address. You already have that, so you can put that on. At the moment, I don't have anything beside that, but feel free if you hear some things that is touching your heart, you want to connect, you want to talk with somebody, you want to find out if the stuff that's happening to you is for real, connect with me and we'll take it from there. I don't have a website at the moment. I'm actually throwing out some ideas with a friend of mine to start maybe like a YouTube channel. And I would love to start like a friendship group, like-minded people, where we meet on a regular basis and just chat, have some food, and support one another. I would love that, you know.
What
And
type of friend would you like to connect with you? Do you have any specific thing?
I can't say that I have a specific thing, but what really gives me life is like-minded people, you know. And I love talking to people, and I can connect with people in different walks of life. To me, I don't have limitations of race and religion, and I have great conversations with some Islam friends. I have great conversations with some Buddhist friends and things like this. And um, I said I wanted to say even with Christian people,
I
and
understand that.
and I really don't mean to come across judgmental, and you know, but I've lost my train of thought. But I'm going to leave that one there because it's not important,
Yes,
and I'm open to the mind that there's possibly something I need to deal with there that's still holding me back, and I'm open to that, and I'm saying okay. When the time's right, that door will open and I will deal with it. So the kinds of people that I like to meet with is just spiritually aware people, you know,
yes.
and where we can have a comfortable platform where I can talk to you and you don't look at me like I'm crazy or fallen out of a tree and bump my head, you know.
Yes,
So that's the kind of people that I really like to spend time with because it's life-giving and encouraging, you know. There's many times to go out there and to shed light to people that don't understand. And I think that has to be done very carefully for the sake of the other person. And it has to be done at the right time, you know, for the sake of the other person. Because keeping in mind, had somebody said certain things to me many years ago, I would have said, ah, you're crazy, you know. But when I was right, I received these challenges and then I grew from it. And I began to understand, oh, okay, maybe reincarnation is really real, you know.
yes,
It's not like people say you live once and then you die. No, there's more
yeah.
to it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mario. Thank you so much today for your time. It's our pleasure to speak with you and let
Awesome.
you share your journey to Earth.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much for having me and taking the time to listen and share. And I salute you, man. I really think what you're doing right now is really so important for because I like to look forward and I've had a picture of the future and I think it was really colored with fear because I can see where the world is going and I'm thinking, oh, are we going to have like another third world war? And while one part of me says, okay, God's will be done. The creation has got a plan and it's going to unfold. But I'm also aware of the fact that we can influence that picture. And the more we wake up and shine our light, it's almost like we have a responsibility to humankind that the more we can touch people and show them the way of love and show them the reality of spirit and begin to share this, the more we will become more peaceful. And I completely convinced that this is where we are intended to go, down to this more peaceful path.
Yes,
Because for a
thank you
long
so
time
much.
we've been like a war, like shoot, kill, stab, bomb, blow up, and that's it's got to come to an end. I think as humankind, we are saturated with that kind of schooling. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yes, I
time to move.
understand.
And I think I think it is important for us to continue the wake up around us and spread the joy and spread the love and show the light so that more people can come. And when we begin to incorporate the 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 I'm going to say the power multiplies, the ability multiplies. One will have this effect. Two will not have double that effect. will have 10 times that effect. And that's what I've seen, and that's what I expect to happen. So when we become 1,000, 10,000, 500,000, things are going to change. And it's going to, like a snowball, it will start small. It has started small. And then the more
Yes,
you go, more it just doubles up all the time.
I believe that. Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you so much for your insight. If there is a chance, we would like to have another interview with you in future. Maybe.
With my greatest pleasure, I will make myself available.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Mario. Thank you so much for today. Have a nice day.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.